If you're managing diabetes, you know that struggle with cravings for processed foods is, well, it's real. It can feel like an uphill battle. But what if I told you it's not about willpower? Today, we're going to dive into how to break that craving cycle by really understanding what's driving it in the first place.
You know the feeling, right? You're doing your best to eat healthy, but those processed snacks just seem to call your name. And if you feel like you're constantly losing a battle of willpower, I really want you to hear this. It is not your fault. There are some incredibly powerful forces at play here, making these foods almost irresistible.
So let's just bust this myth right now. The idea that you just need more willpower, it's not the whole story, not even close. Our entire food environment has been engineered to make these cravings feel impossible to resist. And if you don't believe me, let's just take a quick look at the numbers.
Check this out. In 2019, sales of ultra-processed foods in India hit a staggering $38 billion. Now, to give you some perspective, back in 2006, that number was less than $1 billion. That is a massive, massive jump. And it just goes to show how much these foods have become a part of our daily lives.
And this is what that growth looks like visually. It's a more than 40-fold increase in just under 15 years. You see, processed foods aren't just an occasional treat anymore. They're everywhere. And that, of course, has some really serious consequences for our health.
The data here is pretty clear. As our consumption of processed foods has skyrocketed, so have chronic health conditions like obesity and type 2 diabetes. And for anyone managing diabetes, this is absolutely crucial. These foods are often loaded with additives and processed in ways that can actually cause internal inflammation, which can make managing the condition that much harder. So the big question is, how do we break this cycle? Well, it all starts with understanding the real source of our cravings.
And this brings us to a completely new way of looking at the problem. You see, the issue isn't really the food itself, but the feeling that food creates inside our bodies. We've been focusing on the wrong target all along.
We often say things like, "Oh, I'm addicted to sugar," or "I just can't resist salty snacks." But the truth is a little deeper than that. We're actually addicted to the sensations those ingredients create in our bodies. It's a small shift in thinking, but it is a game changer. It's not the food, it's the feeling.
So here's how that addiction actually gets built in our brains. It starts simple. A food gives you a pleasant sensation. Your brain naturally says, "Hey, I like that. Let's do it again." So you repeat the action. Pretty soon it becomes a habit. And over time, that habit gets so ingrained it becomes an automatic, totally subconscious reaction.
And this is what we call sensation addiction. It's our mind running on autopilot, just this automatic pattern of chasing pleasurable feelings and trying to avoid uncomfortable ones. The tricky part, it all happens subconsciously. So, how in the world can you break a cycle you're not even consciously aware of?
Well, here's the secret. The solution isn't about fighting your cravings head-on. It's about learning to observe them. By creating just a small pause, a little gap, you give yourself the power to choose a different path.
So instead of gritting your teeth and trying to fight off a craving, what if you just noticed it? What if you just observe the sensation with the calm curiosity? When you do this, something amazing happens. That automatic habit loop starts to lose its power.
This simple moment of awareness creates a pause. It's a tiny gap between the feeling of the craving and your automatic reaction to it. And right there, in that little pause, that's where your choice is born. That's where you regain control.
Okay, so how do you actually practice creating this pause? There's a really simple and incredibly effective way. It's a 5-minute practice called Anapana meditation. And you don't need any special gear or beliefs, just a few minutes and a quiet place to sit.
All right, here's how you do it. First, find a comfortable, quiet place to sit. You can close your eyes and just start to notice your breath. The key is, don't try to change it or control it. Just let it be natural. Then, bring your focus to the sensation of the air right at the area below your nostrils. Now, your mind is going to wander. That's what minds do, and it's totally okay. When it does, just gently, without any judgment, bring your attention back to your breath. That's it. Just 5 minutes a day is all it takes to start.
You know, the best way to see if this can work for you is to just try it out. Think of it as a personal experiment. You're like a scientist, and your own inner world is the laboratory.
So I want to invite you to try this for just 5 minutes a day, for 1 week. There's no pressure, no need to achieve some big result. Your only job is to observe. Just notice what happens, notice how cravings feel, how they pop up, and how they eventually fade away. The only goal here is to simply pay attention.
Now, it's really, really important to remember that this practice is a tool to support your health journey. It is not a replacement for professional medical advice. Please, always work with your doctor or your nutritionist to manage your health, especially when you're dealing with a condition like diabetes.
I think this quote just sums it all up so beautifully. Meaningful change doesn't start with more willpower or more restriction. It starts by quietly and gently observing what's already happening inside of you. That is where your true power lies. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. What could you discover in that pause? The answer, I think, has the potential to completely change your relationship with food forever. Thanks so much for joining me.